Hi, everybody. It's Virginia Milner with the DeKalb County Public Library, back with another installment of Jewelry with Jen. And I've been getting more requests for earrings. I've been saying I was going to do it, and now I am. And just like last time, I'm doing several pairs. I'm going to try to do four pairs of earrings. Going to be all swirly. So it's going to be a lot of wire work. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So the first, well, I'm not sure what order I'm going to do them in, but this is one pair that we're going to do, which is just bead cages. I've got 2 cages on here. I had a class where we made 3 or 4, depending on how long people wanted their earrings to be. But what I did was make it the 2 gradually smaller. So this one's kind of just a medium size. It's not huge. It's a medium-sized cage, and this one's a small cage. And then I put crystals inside. And this one I don't know if you can see the color, I put a nice 8mm Bordeaux colored crystal in each one. And it fit in both of them. It fit a little tighter in the smaller one, which is really neat. And then the bigger one is more caged. It's more caged instead of wrapped. So that's one of the ones that we're going to do. And another one we're going to do is I'm going to be working with the tagwas again. And it kind of goes along with the bracelet that I've made, the tagwa seed or tagwa nut bracelet that I made that has the spirals on it. So that one is scrolled. I'm calling that one the Tagwa Scroll earring, and everything is scrolled. It's scrolled at the top, it's scrolled at the bottom. Even my ear wire. Did a fancy schmancy ear wire that's scrolled. So that's going to be fun. Then the next one is going to go with a video that I did a while ago, several months ago, and it's called the Sassy Swirl earring. And this went with this bracelet that I made. I did a different color because I'm not a matchy person, but I wanted to show you different colors of things that I made. So this is the earring that let's turn that around. The earrings that I made, and you can make this as long as you want. I did just 4 little links of it, but you can keep on going. It's entirely up to you. I wanted to make these different lengths. So this one is the shortest of the 4. And then this one's next in length. And then the tagwa, actually, I think this one's next in length. And then the tagwa. And then the longest one is the Egyptian spiral. Which I just adore. I really like this one. And there's the bracelet. It kind of goes with the bracelet. The Egyptian spiral bracelet has a bead in it. I didn't put beads in these spirals like I did with the bracelet because I didn't want it to be too heavy, but really pretty. I put a bead on the bottom. I really wanted to do this one that I created, but it takes a lot of wrapping, so a wire wrapping, and a little more time than I think I have to do it along with 3 others or so. We might do that another time. Sorry for the teaser. I also had others that I was considering. One of these days I might do, if anybody's interested, I might do one where we wrap the beads around the outside. That's a neat one. And this one, where you wrap the beads around. This one's just the beads are just all wrapped around the outside. The other one has clusters of beads, and we shaped the ear wire. So that's kind of awesome. And of course, one of my favorite patterns. Somebody said that would make great earrings and it does so awesome. Anyway, I had to pick and choose. So I picked something that I thought was good for the seasons, and we'll go into, sorry, I put things on my shelf. We'll go into more than one season, but I wanted something that was indicative of cooler weather and darker colors. So we're going to get started. The first one I'm going to do is the bead cages. So what you need is your triple thread, round nose pliers, flat nose pliers, or square nose pliers, and cutters. You need some kind of a measuring device, a ruler, and wire. All of these are going to take 20 gauge wire, that's it. So the first one I'm going to do is I'm making it with antique bronze wire, but you can use any color that you want. And I'm using 8mm crystal beads. Again, you can use whatever colors you want. So let's get going on this. I have chattered your ears off long enough. So the first thing that you're going to need is to cut your wire. Now, again, for the cage that I did on the top is approximately, I think it's about 1/2 inch in length when it's finished. Yes, this one is about, the top one, the bigger one, is about 1/2 inch in length when it's finished. And the smaller one is about 3/8 of an inch. So about 1/4 of an inch smaller, or an 1/8 of an inch smaller than the bigger one. So the first thing that you need to know is for the larger bead cage, I used 8 inches of wire for a 1/2 inch cage. So I've got my 8 inches of wire, and I'm going to take my round nose pliers, and I'm going to grab the tip of my wire with the pliers, and I'm going to make a loop. Just make a small loop. And then I'm going to start spiraling my wire. And I'm just basically wrapping the wire nice and closely around itself. And I hope you can see that spiral starting to form, like so. And what I need to do is make a spiral on both sides. So I'm going to make a few turns on one side, and I'm going to go to the opposite side, and I need to make a spiral going in the opposite direction. So this one's going this way. My next one on this side needs to be going the opposite direction. I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to start making some spirals on that side, starting again with the tip of my pliers, grabbing the tip of my wire, making a loop, and beginning my spiral. This one's a little bit bigger than the other one, so I'm going to close up that loop a little bit. Sorry about the shaking. It's a little larger. And the other side. Now you want your loop, your beginning loop, to be small, but not too small, because you're going to need to be able to reach inside of it and use that for your link for your ear wire. So you don't want it so small that you can't get your pliers down in there. You need to be able to get your pliers in. So now I'm making a spiral on the other side, on the other end of my wire, going in the opposite direction, or on the other side of the wire from my first loop. There's my spiral forming. So you can see that I have a spiral going this way and a spiral going this way. So I'm just going to continue until the spirals meet in the center. And what I want to do is try to get them as close to the same size as possible. So I keep an eye on it. Just kind of flip it around and work them both, so I don't have to guess at the sizing. There are a couple of different ways you can do that. You can actually measure off your wire and give yourself, this is 8 inches of wire. You can give yourself 4 inches on one side and 4 inches on the other side. Either one works, but if you don't want to keep trying to measure your wire, or watch to make sure that you have another 4 inches left at the end, you can just wing it this way. So I'm just keeping an eye out to make sure that my loops, my spirals look like they're close to the same size. Looking pretty good there. You can also, I know some people count the rings too. You can do that. You can count the rings, you can measure, or you can just eyeball it. It's up to you. Once I get to this point, this is big enough that I can hold it with my fingers and continue. And the other good thing is, if you get to the end point and you say, oh no, this one's a lot bigger than this one, or something like that, you can just, if this one's bigger than this one, then you can just keep rolling this one and it'll take away some of the spiral from the other one. You know, you don't have to worry about it ever being one side being too big. So there's my spiral. I need something that's, use my telephone. There you go. And what I'm going to do is just go here in the middle. You want to make sure that the spirals are meeting as closely as possible, and there's not a lot of gap in between. And then what we're going to do is just fold it over so that the spirals are on top of each other. So it's nicely folded over like that. So now what I want to do is spread my spiral out. So I'm going to take my pliers. This is why I said you don't want this to be too tight. Well, this is one of the reasons. So what I'm going to do now is push the center so that my bars will kind of spread out a little bit. Let's see if I can get that visible. My fingers are in the way. I'm pushing this out. I'm pushing the pliers through the center of, it's not. Let's see if I can get this to focus better. If that's better. Okay. I'm pushing the bars down, the wire cages down. So that's what I did. I put the pliers in the middle hole, and then I use my fingers to pull the little bars apart, the little rings. So this is what I started out with on this side, and this is what I end up with once I push those through. The other way that you can do it is to take your pliers and put it down inside the rings from the top and pull it out. Pull it up like this. That's a little trickier because you don't want to pull too fast and pull the rings apart too quickly. But those are a couple of ways that you can do it. A third way that you can do it is to put your bead inside. And if it's big enough, it will push the bars across apart as well. And if it's not big enough, you can use your fingernails. So there's several ways to get these bars open. I'm just pulling it, and I like to put my hands, my fingers, on some of the surrounding bars so I can kind of control how quickly I pull that apart. I don't want to pull it apart too fast because I don't want to ruin my cage. So now I'm going to go in here like I did the first time, and I'm going to push it out a little bit more. It's got the bead in there, so I need to be careful that I don't scratch my crystal. And I just work it apart until the rings look the way I want. And as you can see, I've got this stretched out pretty well. It starts to look like a beehive. I'm going to take the bead out so you don't have that obstruction. So it starts to look like a little beehive. This is the center where the opening is. And then I can take my fingers and just arrange the rings the way I want them. So I can open them up. I can close them a little bit by pressing, and I can open them by pulling. It's not a speedy process. You just want to be careful that you don't ruin your rings. And then there is my cage. I want to check and make sure that it's about the same size as this one. I didn't want the bars as stretched out as I've got them. But what I'm going to do is put my bead in, and I'm going to show you how to adjust that. It's nice and stretchy, sort of like a, not like a slinky, but okay, there's my bead inside. I just pushed it in the center opening that was there. And now I'm going to close that up so that my bead is nicely caged. And then I'm going to look at my other earring, see how much closer together the cage is, the cage wires are. So I'm going to push these together until they're a little bit tighter. Just use my fingers, kind of push it and arrange it until it looks like my other one. So there we go. So there's my first cage. Let's make the second cage. The second cage has 6 inches of wire. So it'll turn out to be about 1/8 of an inch smaller than the first one. Now you are not required to do that. You can very easily make all of your cages the same size if you would prefer. I just thought this would be interesting to make it a little bit smaller as we go down. And if you want an even bigger cage, for instance, say you want one that's, I've got one that's 1/2 inch and one that's 3/8 of an inch. Then you can go down to 4 inches if you want one that's 1/4 of an inch. You can go up to 10 inches if you want one that's 3/4 of an inch. So it just depends on the look that you're looking for, what kind of design you have. If you want them all the same size, just cut the same size wire, make them all the same size. The look is up to you. I've seen people in my classes that just went crazy. They just took the wire, made it all different sizes, and this really, really comes out pretty. Okay, now I'm going to go to the other side again, make my loop, grab the tip of my wire with my tip of my pliers, make my loop, start my spiral, pliers here, grabbing on the side, and start spiraling. Oh, by the way, somebody told me about this weird white stuff that you can use. It's kind of a rubber coating that you can use. You can dip your pliers in so that it does not scratch up your wire when you're working, and it is really neat. And it gets all beat up, but you just peel it off and dip it in there again, and keep going. Just dip it, let it dry, and then use it. Now notice how I'm going. I'm showing you something on purpose. I'm watching to make sure that my rings, my coils are about the same size. I'm going from one side to the other. And look at what happened. Hey, weren't my coils supposed to be on opposite sides? Yes, they were. But remember I said it's an easy fix? It is, because all you have to do is grab your coils and twist until you have one on one side, one on the other again. See, neat, easy to correct. So I'm going to continue with my coiling. Until my spirals are meeting in the center. There we go. Double coil, fold it over so that they're sandwiched, one on top of the other. Okay, and now let's try what I was telling you about putting the bead inside, and let's see if we can get it to push the rings apart, because this is a much smaller cage. And look at that. See, you can push it out from the inside. I'm just pushing it up with the bead on one side. Let's do it on the other side. Just pushing it. Works pretty well. And now I just need to pull the rest of it out. And there, the end, I want to go away from the tip of my wire. Here's the tip of my wire over here. When I'm pulling it out, I want to go to the opposite side away from the tip, because I don't want to pull that tip out of there. I want to make sure that that stays nice and flat. So I'm going to go in. I'm going to start pulling my rings apart to form my cage. And again, this is you just want to be careful. You don't want to completely pull your cage out of whack. And I'm going to go at it from the inside, because I want to make sure I don't go too fast. So I'm going to go to the inside. I'm going to push up, push, 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 until I get to where I can kind of adjust it with my fingers. Just opening those up a little bit. Go to the other side. Push those up. And then I'm going to do the rest with my fingers and my fingernail. And if you don't have fingernails, just continue to work with your pliers. You're just basically pushing the rings apart so that they form the cage that you want. See how mangled up that is? All you have to do is push the rings back together. Just push the rings together until you get them to look the way you want. And if you're patient, you can make it work out really nicely. And now remember, I'm trying to match this one. So let's put the bead inside now that I've got it to where it'll fit nicely. And I'm going to close my center. Oops, get back here. I'm going to close this center up just by squeezing it together with my fingers. And there's my cage. Check it out. Make sure it's about the same size as this one. This one looks a little longer, so let's pull these rings apart a little bit more until I get it to where I want it. See, it's so tiny that it doesn't want to stay with me. Okay, nice and neat and tidy. Let's get this one pulled out just a little bit more. And there we go. Nice. Okay. So now, how you're asking, do you link them together? Well, that's pretty simple. What you want to do, again, remember I said you don't want to make this center, the first ring too small, because you're going to take your pliers, you're going to go into the top ring on the opposite side of the tip. There's my ring end. I want to go to the other side. Go in with my pliers, and I'm just going to flip that top ring up. And now I can use that to connect. Now I'm going to go to my other one. I'm going to do the same thing. Just go in through the top, flip that top ring up, and now I have a connector. And adjust that a little bit so it's more centered. And then just look at your bars, make sure that everything's still in place. If you need to make some adjustments, make them. It's easily adjustable as you are working with it. And just so you know, since I'm in interchangeable mode anyway, you can change these beads out. You can just open up this center. All you need to do is open it up a little bit, pop out that bead, boop, put in another bead. We'll pretend like this is a different bead. Oh, come on. So embarrassing. Anyway, pop that inside, close it up. And you are ready to put it with a different outfit if you want to. Isn't that neat? I love these cages. They're awesome. Probably one of the easiest cages you can make. So now we're going to link them together. And you're probably saying, wait, I still don't know how to do it. Okay, well, in the center here, there's where your the tip of your ring is, and it's sort of just like a jump ring at this point. All you do is open it just like you would a jump ring to the side, slide the other ring in, close it up. Make sure that the tip is meeting the back of the ring, just like you would a jump ring. Check out my bars, my rings again. Make sure that they're nice and tidy. And there is my earring. There it is. Awesome. Now I can take that and I can put it on an ear wire, or I can make my own ear wires. I think I've shown you how to do that, but I'll show you that again real quick. Like, Just take a couple of inches of wire, just 2 inches, and it depends on how long you want your tail to be. Doesn't have to be long. As a matter of fact, you probably use an 1 3/4 inches. We're just going to use 2 inches. Cut that off. Make a little ring at the tip. Let's make a little loop. Then I'm going to go to the very back of my pliers, and it depends on how big you want the opening to be. Actually, I could use a pencil, I could use a pen, I could use the end of the little handle of my pliers, or you can use bail making pliers. If you have them and want to use them, go for it. And what I would do is just take it, and I can either use my pliers, I can use my bail makers. It depends on how big you want your opening to be. And I'm going to slide my wire in just at the base of the ring, just like I would do if I was making a clasp. And I'm going to take the tail of my wire, wrap it around whatever device I'm using, and make the equivalent of a shepherd's hook, just like I do with a clasp. And then I'm going to take my pliers, make a little ledge on the bottom, just like you see on ear wires. And there is my ear wire. We're all set. All set and ready to go. Just open that up. On the other end, I'm going to flip the top of my ring just like I did on when I linked these two together. Go in there, flip up my center ring, attach my ear wire, close my ear wire up, close that loop, and make sure that the loop inside of my cage is closed. So push the end against the back bar of the ring. And there we have it. Nice pair of earrings. Now remember, when you make your ear wires, you want to make sure that you round off the edges, so you can just file them with a nail file or an emery board. And there you go. Nice pair of earrings. So that's pair number 1. Let's move on to pair number 2. So let's change gears a little bit. You know what? Yeah, no, let's continue with the scrolling. So we're going to do this nice little colorful one because we're using the same wire. May as well stick with it. So I'm making this scrolled one that I did with the tagua beads, and then we'll make a scrolled ear wire. So let's do that. So what do I have here? And I used, for this one, for the bracelet, I used brown rondelles, wood rondelles. But for the earrings, I decided to use some off-white, kind of ivory colored ones, so that I think they'll move more into all of the seasons. And they don't exactly match the bracelet, but they still go with the bracelet. Isn't that awesome? So anyway, so now what we're going to do is I'm going to start on the bottom. I'm going to start with the main part that carries the beads. So what I want to do is make a scroll on the bottom, and then I'm going to wrap the top, make a wrapped loop at the top. So the first thing I want to do is get my wire together. And I thought I had it cut, but apparently not. Oh, that's odd. Okay, well, we'll cut some wire. So what I need is 4 inches of wire for this part. Start with that. And the first thing I'm going to do is make my spiral on the bottom. So again, I'm going to take my pliers, grab the tip of my wire with the tip of my pliers and make a loop. You're going to be spiral experts by the time we finish. Okay, I'm making a loop at the bottom and I'm going to make my spiral. Kind of like to check, make sure they look similar. Yes. And then I'm going to start making my spiral. And what I'm going to do, you again can count your spirals if you want, 1, 2, 3, whatever, or you can just check back and make sure they look like they're turning out to be the same size. With earrings, the biggest thing you want is symmetry. So you just kind of, the first one's great. You just make it. The second one, you want to be a little bit more exact. So this spiral is not that close together. It doesn't, it's a little more open. So I want to spread these out a bit. Yeah, I want to make these a little more spread. It's kind of close, but not too close. So I want it to be a little bit more artsy. So let's see what we've got, a little bit more. I think I can get one more little partial turn here. There we go. So once I've got my spiral the way I want it, what I'm going to do, I want these to go on, but I don't want that leaning off to the side. So what I'm going to do is bend my wire until it's at kind of a right angle. So now it's right on top of my spiral. Let's put my bead on there, see what it looks like. Compare it with the other one. Looks pretty good. And let's stack the other beads on. So I've got this nice melon color, this purple, deep, deep purple, and my other ivory colored wood bead. So there we go. Nice. So now I'm going to make a wrapped loop. And I want my loop on top to be going in the opposite direction. So you can see my spirals going left to right. My loop is going front to back. And that will be, it'll be apparent why afterwards, because we're going to make another spiral that's going to go the other way, and then the ear wires are going to go the opposite direction. I know it makes no sense at the moment. So I've got my spiral going left to right. I'm going to make my loop going front to back. So take my pliers, or I can just bend it with my fingers. Just give a little bend at the top. So there's a little space up there that I can wrap my wire in. So I'm going to slide my pliers down until they're about 1/3 of the way down my wire. It doesn't have to be too big a loop. Bring my wire over the top and around until it's going down the side of my beads. I'm going to flip my pliers up until they're right on top of my beads. And then I'm going to bring my wire around underneath my pliers like that. And when I take that out, you'll see that I have a nice loop on top. So there's my loop. And I'm going to check and make sure it's about the same size as this one, and it's a little bigger, so I'm going to pull the loop closed just a little bit more so that it more matches the other loop. So let's see here. It's a little bit closer, and when I wrap this, it's going to close up a little bit. So now I'm going to grab on the side, and this is where I would wrap, but I want to wait because I want to make this spiral, and I want this to be inserted into the spiral. Now I could go ahead and wrap this and then slide it down the spiral, but I think the easier way to do it is to not close this up and to slide it in there before I wrap it. So let's put this to the side and let's go on to our next scroll. So what I want for that is 3 inches of wire. Or I'm sorry, 2 inches. 2 inches of wire. So we have 4 inches of wire for the main part. We have 2 inches of wire for our center scroll. Let's cut that. I call that my little snail scroll. I'm crazy. I name my stuff. Okay, so I'm going to take 2 inches of wire for that. And again, I'm going to take the tip of my pliers, grab the tip of my wire, and I'm going to make a little loop. Just make a little loop here. And start my scroll. And again, it's not too tight. The rings are side by side, but they don't have to be slammed right on top of each other. I'm trying to make it as close as I can to the first one. So I'm kind of keeping my eye on this one, see how it looks. It can be a little further apart. And this inside can be a little further apart. I don't want it right against the other bar, so I'm going to pull that apart a little. And continue. And I'm going to continue until I have about a 1/2 inch of wire left to make my loop. So let's take a look at this. What have I got here? Good. Keep going. And I can make any adjustments to my wire. For instance, if I want these rings to be closer together, I can go in with my pliers and just push them together. Sort of like we did with our cage. Let's take a peek. That looks pretty good. Push these together a little more. And now I'm going to make my little ring, this little ring. And what I like to do is kind of round this out, kind of bring it around until it's really close to the other rings, so that when I make my loop going the other direction, it still has that nice graceful curve, like a swan. Okay, so now I'm going to take my pliers, grab my tip of my wire, and just make a loop going in the opposite direction of going away from the rings of my coil. The only thing about this is that it's kind of sticky. And there we have it. Let's check it out. See what it looks like compared to this one. That's good. Very nice. So one's going to go this way and the other's going to go that way. That's how you're going to wear them. Nice. So now, remember why I told you not to close this up? Because we want to take this and slide your bottom piece in. Take that tail, slide it in between the little rings, and see how that's too tight. So what I'm going to do is open it up just a little bit. So that it'll accommodate my bottom piece. And I'm going to slide that in. The center of my ring. There we go. And now I need to wrap my loop. So I'm going to grab my ring on the side like that. And I'm going to wrap the wire in between my pliers and the beads. And you only need to do this a couple of times. It depends on if you did 3 rings on this one, you want to do three rings on the other one, just so that you can have some consistency. Got 2 rings around there. Let's get that 3rd one. And let's close it up. So I'm going to push that tail down till it's nice and close and resting against the other wires. There we go. So there's the second part. And now all that's left is my ear wires. Now remember, with your earrings, you want them to go, the design to go in opposite directions. So this one's going, this one has the loop going towards me, I think is the way it looks on camera. It's going one way, and then this one's going to have the loop going, so they're going to be towards each other. One loop is going right to left, one's going left to right. Look at something here. Okay, they're going this direction, and my little loop, this loop's going that way. This one needs to go the other direction. So just like we did with the cage, I can twist that to go the way I want it. Okay, so this one's going in, this one's going opposite. Sure, there we are. Just the bottom. Tighten that up a little. We're good. Straighten that out. Okay, I think we're good now. Yeah, there we go. That way, good. Making our ear wires. Okay, so now my ear wire needs to go that way. So for my ear wires, I need 3 inches. Again, 4 inches for the bottom, 2 inches for the center, 3 inches for my ear wire. Okay. So all I'm going to do for my ear wire is make another scroll, grabbing the tip of my wire with my pliers right at the tip, make a little loop. This is going to be a nice open scroll. And the easiest way to make ear wires that match is to make them at the same time. I mean, take the wires, put the wires together, and do all of the work at the same time. It works really, really well if you do it that way. Then you don't have to worry about matching it up exactly and it not being quite as symmetrical as you like. This is art. So something like this is probably not going to be perfect, but that's what makes it unique and artistic. You just do it, get it as closely as you can. I mean, the only way that you can really get it absolutely perfect if you're doing it is if you do it by machine, and that's no fun. I mean, that you can tell when things are done by machine because they just don't look as unique. You're not making a statement, which is what we want to do with our earrings. We want it to be as closely matched as possible, but not to the point that it looks like it was done by a robot, because we aren't. We're artistic beings. There we go. Pretty close. Very nice. Okay, so now it's time to make my ear wires. And again, it depends on the size that you want and what you want to use to make them. I'm using this guy. So I'm going to go in, grasp my wire right down there, just above the top of my loop, like so. And I could put this on a pencil, and I could do it that way, but I did this one on this, so I better do the same thing. I'm going to take the end of my wire, I'm going to bring it around, wrap it around until it touches the top of my spiral, just like as if I was making a clasp. So there we are. All I have to do now is check my length. Let's roll that up a little more. Check that out. Pretty evenly matched. Yes. Make my little latch on the end here. There we go. And insert. Again, opposite directions. This one's going this way, that one's going that way. Wire should go in this way. So I'm just going to open up my little loop. Insert it in the center, the very bottom rings of my spiral. Close it up. And there we are. Here are my earrings. These are cute. And these, I think with this color combination, should take you all through. Where are we? There we go. Should take you all through the year, I think. Ta-da. So that's pair number 2. I don't know how long this is taking. This is probably taking forever, but just remember, we're getting lots and lots and lots of earrings out of this. Maybe enough to last you the whole year. You know, I might have to stop. I'm going to show you this one, and then I think I have to stop because will be encroaching on somebody else's meeting time, and that will not go over well. I might have to show you the other one later. That's okay. All right, so this one, Sassy one, all you need to do is make a spiral on the bottom. We've done that several times already, but I'll do it again. And for this one, we need 1 3/4 of an inch of wire for each one of your little links. So 1 3/4 of an inch of wire. I'm going to make a spiral. And the biggest thing that you want to remember that you need to leave enough. Okay, for this one, I used 8mm rondelles and 4mm bicones. And what you need to remember as far as your measurement is to see how much wire you need to accommodate your beads, and then determine how much you need for your spirals. Now for me, it was 1 3/4 of an inch of wire because my beads take up approximately 3/8 of an inch of space. And then I needed enough wire to spiral. And it's a small spiral. It's only two loops around. Very small spiral. And then I need about an inch of wire left to accommodate my beads and to make the loop on the other end. So I'm going to put a bead on. In this case, I'm using the larger bead on the bottom. I want to bend this back so that this, see how I put the bead on and the spiral's off on the side? Don't really want that. So what I'm going to do is bend my wire until it's standing up so that when I put my bead on, the spiral's right underneath. Then the next thing I need to do, I'm going to be linking these together. So in order for them to look about the same, the bottom one, I'm going to put a little ring, sort of like a jump ring on. And then I'm going to put my little bead on top of that. And then I'm going to make a loop at the top. Okay, the next one, same thing. I'm going to put my bead on after I've made my spiral. And then this one, I'm going to slide my loop on in between and then put my 4mm bead on top, like that, and make my loop. Same thing with the next one. Bead, slide it on the last ring, 4mm bead. This is awfully long, too long. Cut it off till I have about 1/2 inch. Make my loop. And again, bead, put it on my loop, next bead, cut it down to about 1/2 inch. And make a loop. And there's your earring. Your ear wire goes through the top one. And there you have it. That's a very quick and easy one to do. Now, I hate to tell you this, but I have run out of time. Got about 10 minutes, but I don't think I can finish the other one in time. So we're going to have to stop with these three, but we've got these three nice pairs of earrings done. So we've got our bead cages. We've got our Tagwa scroll. And we've got our Sassy swirls. And that will keep you going for a while. Maybe next time we can do our Egyptian spiral. But that is it for today. If you like earrings, if you want to do more earrings, please let me know, because we can definitely do them. We don't always have to make long ones either. These, as you can see, are all different lengths. You can make them as long or as short as you want them to be. And it just depends on what you like. So let me know what you think. Let me know what you thought, whether or not you liked it, whether or not you didn't like it. Get where you can see me. And if you have any ideas for other things that you would like to see, please let me know. But I hope that this kind of made some people happy, because I keep getting people that say, oh, that would make neat earrings. Oh, it makes be so nice to make something to match with that or whatever. So I've tried to do that with this. I had the bead cage bracelet. Everybody just loves that. And people just love the earrings whenever I wear them. And the Tagwa scroll is really, really pretty and really versatile. You can kind of adjust that and adapt that any way you want. And of course, the this one, it looks like a science project. I think it's so cute. And you can make this really long. You can dress it up or down. You can wear it with jeans. You can wear it with sweatpants. You can wear it to something that's formal whenever we ever get back to that. But anyway, that's the end of this one. We'll do more earrings again. And just let me know if that's something that you're interested in, because I can certainly do that sooner than later. And see you next time, or you'll see me next time. Thanks a lot, everybody, and have a good week. Bye-bye.